Alright everyone, we start off today with the last video I'll make on the presidential debate. We do have the last round of fallout. Of course, it's a Sunday, so you're not getting any polling updates per se. Snap polls showing that Joe Biden absolutely got shit-canned. But I wanted to point something out. Some people are saying that this means Joe Biden is going to be forced to step down. Like supposedly he's meeting with his family at Camp David, and he's discussing the future of his campaign. While this was a political Hindenburg moment, like a real crash and burn train wreck of a debate, the literal worst that I've ever seen, and I've watched, 100 presidential debates, a lot of them televised, even from the past before I was born. I've watched all of them. We're talking from the Nixon era all the way up to the present. It's a lot of debates. I've also watched debates, gubernatorial debates. I'm fond of those. Senatorial debates, the whole 9 yards, and it is the worst one that I've seen, arguably, in modern political history. But I would like to point out, let's fact check this. This Camp David meeting between Biden and his family was planned before the debate. It will probably be discussed by members of the family, whether it's wise to proceed. But here's the problem, and I think Biden is at least somewhat aware of this fact. If it ain't Biden, the Dems will lose. The problem is that you've already registered a bunch of people to vote and stuff and gotten them enthused about a specific candidate. Now, Biden did not give an enthusiastic performance at the debate, and I am sure that there are some millions of people who were intending to vote for Joe Biden who now are up in the air and or have decided, well, shit, I can't do this. That's a disaster. It's the equivalent of getting hit by a fucking tornado as far as politics goes. You just got ripped to shreds. But who's going to replace him? Gavin Newsom? Oh yeah, the French Laundry dude? That'll go over well. Hochul? Are you going to replace him with Hochul? The problem is that if you look at the list of other potential candidates that could replace Biden, most of them are from safely blue areas. They're from echo chambers, so they don't bring anything new to the table. Now, true, Joe Biden is from Delaware, but he casts himself off as the Scranton kid, basically. It's really, really funny how he calls himself a kid sometimes, and it can be a little bit creepy and jarring, but whatever. Joe Biden can't really be replaced. The only other solution really would be to replace him with Kamala Harris. The fact is that she's tied with the administration directly. The lack of support that Joe Biden has is not simply due to his cognitive impairments and his verbal gaffes. It's also due to the policies of his administration on the border, foreign policy, the inflation level, things like that. Well, she's part of the administration. The Democratic Party is going to take a trouncing. I suspect that, oddly enough, though, down ballot, they'll do all right. I suspect that the Democrats will retake the House. It shouldn't be hard, considering how feckless and stupid the House Republicans have been. You can't even hold an impeachment inquiry properly. You give them a majority, and they just failed repeatedly. I would favor the GOP to take the Senate, but I don't think it'll be by an overwhelming margin. This is my preliminary prediction. And then I suspect that Donald Trump will win re-election. Nothing seems able to stop him. Joe Biden least of all. But that doesn't mean that you can swap him out feasibly at this point in the race. Technically speaking, before August, can you? Physically, okay, you can. We're 1 day away from July right now. The election is in November. He's served 3.5 years already, well, a little bit more than that. There's, again... and Jill, we'll be talking about Jill Biden separately, by the way, because people are making a big deal about that. I'm sure that there are members of his family who will tell him, hey, you know that you're not going to win, and you're old, and, maybe it's time to just go biking. You can go to the ice cream factory, with Bernie Sanders, you can go see the Ben & Jerry's factory or something like that. I'm sure there will be other members of the family, though, that for one reason or another tell him to stay in. Jill will be, by the way, one of them. Their reasons there's a range to them. Some of them will do it because they want him to be president. They want to be adjacent to the president, part of the president's family, self-serving. Others are like, they'll feel sorry for him And they'll tell him, no, 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 you know, okay, you had a one bad debate performance, but look, you're smart and you're doing a good job and everything. You'll do better next time. And ultimately, Joe Biden is an egotist. He's the same as Donald Trump. Here's the problem. Donald Trump is a blind egotist. He absolutely wants that Triple Crown. The only thing left to do in his entire life is win a second term as President of the United States. The fact that it's non-consecutive, oddly, makes it more impressive. And so he tries to do well for people. Joe Biden, I think, is motivated more by a malevolent egotism. That is, they're kind of at opposite ends of the spectrum. It's the same purpose, but for different reasons. Trump is doing it because he wants adoration, actually. You know, he wants those statues and shit like that. Joe Biden, he's doing it mainly for his shareholders. So Burisma, basically, and things like that. The presidential debate was an unmitigated disaster for him, for his campaign. There are a lot of Democrats right now that are sweating nervously. I would also point out, though, that the DNC chief just came out, and this is damage control. I mean, it is wagon circling. He came out and said, nope, we're still riding with Biden. You know, if anything, I've seen I believe he used the term galvanization behind Biden. Well, I'm a black man, and I've seen the black community galvanize behind him. I'm not sure how true that is, but the fact that the DNC's number one would come out and effectively on, you know, in live TV say, with a wink and a nudge, he's insinuating to Joe Biden, please don't drop out. It shows that at least he understands political strategy. If you swap Biden out, you lose. 100% chance. There is no replacement. This is the whole problem. You've got a talent stack in the GOP. It's small, but it's there. You do have talented people there that represent the modern hegemon of populism and actual conservatism that has taken over the Republican Party in the wake of the near death of the neocon era. The Bushes and McConnells are being swept aside, and younger, more talented individuals are replacing them. Vivek Ramaswamy, Rand Paul, he's been in there for a while, he's relatively young, by Senate standards, at least. People like, well, I would have said Kristi Noem until fairly recently. Tulsi Gabbard, people like that. People that are generally younger, although not always. They have different ideas, etc. There are people, like if Trump dropped dead today, there are people who could run and feasibly be expected to win. If Joe Biden goes away, I don't see anyone that has that kind of talent within the Democratic Party. The young upstarts in the Dem Party are all from left-wing echo chambers. So like the AOCs and stuff that would be younger and have different ideas. But the problem is that those ideas turn off most of the population. With the GOP, that new group of people represents a political core that is quite large. The outsiders and young upstarts in the Dem Party represent a very small constituency. And some of them are genuinely nuts enough to believe that it extrapolates to a full federal platform. What you can get away with, for example, in an 80% Dem district filled with young leftoids, you could not extrapolate that, mainly not even always to a Senate run, let alone a run for the presidency. You'd probably get crushed. Newsom can't save you. Hochul can't save you. I don't think anything can save the Democrats at this point. The debate was, it was like an atom bomb going off within the presidential race, but I mean, how do you replace Joe Biden? He's the one that tens of millions of Democrats have already cast a ballot for. They've already primaried for him. I mean, he doesn't have any meaningful competition, true. People have already said he's the candidate that they want. Well, give them what they want. In the end, they'll probably lose, but at the same time, trying to swap him out, then you definitely lose. That's about all. Peace out.